Okay, Sports Talker Nation, here we are with number one in our NFL season in review. We're going to start at the bottom with our Tennessee Titans. The Titans have been synonymous with a bad organization for a long time, and they're much worse off than you would think they should be based on the talent and the skill that they have. But let's start with what went right this past year for Tennessee. More than you would think. It's surprising that a team like Tennessee would be as bad as they are. They got the quarterback. Quarterback is critical in the NFL. You cannot win without a quarterback. Marcus Mariota proved he's kind of the real deal. I think he can play in any offensive system. I think he wasn't just a Chip Kelly run and gun system product. He showed leadership. He did have a little bit of injury, so they're going to have to calm him down with his running, but really, really talented player, and I think he's got a real future in the NFL. So that went right for sure. The receiving game is much better off than you would think. Delaney Walker is an absolute stud. I know his numbers get obscured and his contributions get overlooked because of where he plays. But Delaney Walker came from San Francisco as a great blocking tight end. Went to Tennessee, and he's a fantastic receiving tight end. He has speed. He's an all-around tight end in the mode of Jason Witten, only with a lot more speed, a lot more separation and athleticism. He is a cog moving forward, and it's great for a young quarterback to have a cog like that. Another thing that hasn't gone right yet, but there's a glimmer of hope as you move forward, is that wide receiving core. So I know Kendall Wright. I've been a big fan of Kendall Wright his whole life. Hasn't really lit it up, but I think he's an excellent number two. He's a slot guy, good route runner, and I think he will be very helpful. I think the big key there is Dorial Green-Beckham. Again, he didn't do a lot this year, but he showed flashes. He is an absolute freak athlete. He actually reminds me a lot of Cordero Patterson, only with more standard receiving skills. His athleticism is just unparalleled. Fast, strong. He's had some, let's call them off-the-field issues. He's a bit of a lunatic. So hopefully he can rein himself in, not kill anybody, get drunk, get in a fight with the owner, whatever. But he has the talent to really make a difference for them moving forward. You pair those two wide receivers together with Delaney Walker, and I think they're in good shape. On defense, they actually have a fairly strong defense. They need some help pass rushing, but they have good linebackers. They have a decent secondary. And overall, their team should have been much better than their record was, which leads us into the what went wrong. It started at the top. They had the wrong coach in Ken Whisenhunt, or at least so they thought, and they rectified that very quickly. The good news is they acted quickly. They wanted to get a jump on the head coaching search. The bad news is at the end of the day, they wound up rehiring Mike Mularkey, who was their offensive coordinator. I guess he has a good relationship with Mariota, but I don't think he's a very good coach. I think they're going to struggle as long as they have him as the coach. He tends to be conservative. He lets them throw after the fact when it doesn't matter anymore. So it's a real challenge. I'm worried about them as long as they have him as the coach. So that went wrong. The other thing that went wrong, their offensive line is an absolute sieve. Not only did it hurt their passing game, their rushing game is non-existent. Part of that is also because their running backs, by the end of the year, Antonio Andrews was kind of their lead running back. That can't be good. You would think that David Cobb's going to get a chance there. Maybe they draft somebody else to be a complement to him. Dexter McCluster always hung around kind of doing that third down role. But I think they're going to need speed to go with the power that they have, potentially in Cobb. But they really need to go offensive line. So that really went wrong for them. The other thing that really went wrong for them is their pass rush. So I mentioned they have some decent defensive linemen. They actually have some decent linebackers, actually very fast, athletic linebackers, but their pass rush was really anemic. I don't know if it was scheme. I don't know if they have problems generating a pass rush without blitzing, but it really killed them. They wound up giving up a ton of big plays because quarterbacks could just sit back there and just pick them apart, and they did. So that also went wrong. Special teams are nothing to speak of. I would rank them in the lower third. But unless you're really excellent or really terrible at special teams, it's hard for me to say that made a difference in their year. They do wind up with a top 3 draft pick. Actually, this year they wind up with the number 1 draft pick. They need to go with one of the big offensive tackles, which we'll talk more about as we get to our draft review and recap and what I think everybody needs and the top positions by top players by position. But until then, Tennessee, rough year with a lot of hope for the future, better than some of the other teams we're going to review real shortly. Anything else to add? I'm more than happy to hear your comments, and that's the G-Man, and I am out.